Welcome back to Mind Over Movies. I'm Isaac.
I'm Casey.
This week, we're doing the DOOGLE episode. We're finally talking about the 2005 animated sensation starring Jimmy Fallon, Ian McKellen, Dame Judi Dench. Judi Dench. It's happening.
It's happening, guys. DOOGLE. It's a masterpiece. It just got voted in to the Library of Congress's National Film Registry, as being aesthetic, to be preserved for being aesthetically significant or historically significant. That's their criteria. It's just, it's the DOOGLE.
It's always sat really well with me. Like, the themes of the movie, the red genie, he's bad. Mm-hmm. The blue genie, he's pretty good.
Right.
DOOGLE, a hedgehog? What is DOOGLE?
Yeah, he's a dog.
A dog, yeah.
A hedgehog? No, guys, we're not talking about DOOGLE.
Whoa.
Get that out of here.
You don't have to just dismiss that bit like that, sir.
Dude, I've watched that movie like 10 times, like, not even lying. Like, when I was younger, I watched it a lot.
I had it on DVD for a little bit. I think my fondest memory is going to McDonald's and getting a DOOGLE Happy Meal toy and then watching DOOGLE. But I don't know why that happened, but I think DOOGLE was low-key kind of a success, though.
I think, I don't know, I don't remember, but with that many, like, stars attached to it, had to have some kind of fame.
Absolutely. I didn't watch DOOGLE this week, and I didn't watch any other movies this week. Did you?
No. I really wanted to watch The Queen's Gambit, because that's still on my list, and Mank, of course, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit is the ultimate show that I, want to get into right now, and just haven't started for some reason. Yeah. I don't know. I'm super into chess again. I've been playing a lot of my friends. I taught you chess.
Yeah, you taught me chess
over the weekend.
Yeah, that was fun. That's what made me want to watch it even more. Because I was already fascinated by chess, and I was like, I want to watch The Queen's Gambit, maybe learn a little bit more. But then you taught me chess, and I was like, okay, this is a fun game. Also, really need to watch The Queen's Gambit now. So
I don't know. I definitely have that effect when I'm watching a TV show or a movie. If I know the experience or relate to it a lot more, I'm just I'm in it. Yeah. With Whiplash, I was in band, so I was bam, this movie's fun. With chess, I do know how a bishop moves, so maybe that enhances the experience. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm mostly stuck to TV this week. I've been keeping up with Mandalorian. This episode was pretty good this week.
I actually haven't watched the new episode. I only watched the tragedy, that episode. That's the last one I watched.
Oh, that's so last week.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just talk about it. His Baby Yoda's name is Grogu, and it's not good.
Oh my gosh. Why would they name it? It's such a weird name, but
and people are trying to pull Yoda is not that great of a name. I mean, you see Yoda, and they call that little green munchkin Yoda, and it makes sense. I hear Grogu. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Baby Yoda is so cute, but it just doesn't fit for me.
Grogu sounds like what Yoda would have been named, and if they called Baby Yoda, actually named him Yoda, and that was the first time we ever heard it, it would be...
No, that would have been the worst route to go down.
Really?
I feel like naming the child, I guess, is what it was known as before Grogu.
Yeah, just naming it.
Naming it Yoda, I don't know. It kind of sounds fun, but I just, in the context of the show, I can't see that how it makes sense.
Right.
The guy doesn't even know what Jedi are until
Well, I mean, if
last season.
If Yoda had never existed, and they just came up, the writers just were like, "There's never been a Star Wars character named Yoda," and they named it Yoda.
That'd be off-brand for Disney to come up with something original, dude. You think that they don't want to make a million things with one property?
Speaking of, good little segue into our topic for today.
there's a bunch of streaming nonsense going on these days. It's been going around town too long.
Yeah.
Time to talk about it.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the streaming wars still?
Yeah, I would say there's still a war going on.
Versus, we're going to also talk about what's happening with theaters, and just the effect the pandemic has had on it, and basically just where I think streaming services, where we're headed with this stuff. And we're also, obviously, we're going to mention Nolan's, disastrous comments.
Oh, yeah.
And the like. So, you buckle down.
It's just like this last weekend, Disney, was it this last weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, Disney announced a bunch of content coming to Disney Plus. There's like 10 Star Wars things coming out.
Yeah, and 10 Marvel.
An additional 10 Marvel things. And I mean, it's not that surprising that Marvel has a million things coming out for it, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been cluttered since like 2012.
Yeah.
After that first Avengers movie, they were like, let's do 3 movies every year.
Yeah.
Or they were for a little bit there.
They were, yeah. It was, the three movies a year started in 2016 with Civil War, I think, or right after 2016. So for like 2 or 3 years, they were doing 3 movies a year, and they were going to do it they weren't going to do it in 2020. They were only going to release Black Widow, but they had WandaVision planned for 2020, I think. And then, well, obviously that stuff didn't happen.
Neither are
here.
Which that's interesting, because Disney Plus was like looking to be the service, or no, I think they were just going to release the movie in November, because they delayed it at a time where they were like, people will probably still go see like higher end like studio movies in the fall because they won't care about coronavirus anymore. And then Tenet happened, and
it was a
disaster. Yeah. So it's not a surprise to me that there's so many things coming out. I just hate it anyway. Like, I vehemently hate that we are living in a time where we're going to opt to make like 20 more things of something that already exists than put effort forward to try and make like one original like IP.
Yeah.
Like, I get that Disney itself, when they make animated movies, those are always like original IPs these days. Yeah. Well, not even that. They did Frozen 2 last year.
Yeah, so I mean,
they've done Wreck-It Ralph before that, like 2.
Wreck-It Ralph 2.
I think the last original thing they did was like Moana.
I want to say in Disney's animation department, not including Pixar.
No, not because Pixar often does their own thing, but they are starting to do a lot more sequels.
Yeah, they are starting to do. But speaking strictly of Disney's animation, I can't think of an. I know they must have had something original since 2016's Moana, but I don't know.
Must they have?
I don't know. I know their next like Disney princess thing that they're doing is like Raya and the Last Dragon.
The dragon thing coming out.
Oh, also let's backtrack just a bit for anybody that doesn't know. Disney had their Investors Day for 2020. It was a virtual event. They have one every year, but this year was virtual, where they announced a crap ton of projects, like we said, like 10 different Star Wars projects in the work, 10 different Marvel projects, actually over 10 Marvel projects, but like 10 things that are going to Disney Plus specifically.
Yeah.
And basically what an Investor Day is from what I've gathered, I haven't actually like Googled what is Investor Day. From what I've picked up from watching them over the past few years, they're literally for investors. They're for shareholders, for basically them to like, don't throw out stock in us because look at what we got coming. Don't you want to be an investor? Or they kind of encourage people to, buy stock in Disney. So by doing that, they have absolutely just, dumpster trucked. Oh my God, so much. Like if you really look at the scope and scale of it, especially with what their animation department revealed.
I didn't see honestly, I only saw the Marvel and like Star Wars stuff. What's going on in the animation department?
They're doing a Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, with Chris Evans. Okay,
Yeah.
I did see this. Yeah,
That's coming to Disney
it's going to
Plus,
be
I
a
think.
Buzz Lightyear origin story.
Yeah, origin story.
What?
I think Disney, John Lasseter gave us Toy Story, a masterpiece, and then Disney focused in on what that movie was, but in the wrong aspects, and they're like, Buzz Lightyear fighting space people, like that's what we need.
Okay,
and I'm like,
but you can't say that Disney just now came up with this bad idea, because do you remember in the 90s?
Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
Yes. And they had like the movie, they had like the TV show of it.
Yeah, no, I can't. No, Disney definitely made that mistake in the 90s with that. But hey, I watched that movie though, and I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Honestly,
as a child.
in my head, watching that movie as a child, like it's a really dark movie in my head. I don't know, like
yeah,
doesn't Buzz Lightyear get his like butt kicked at some point by like a big old meanie? I don't know. I can't remember the plot.
I don't.
I'm looking at it through the lens of a 5-year-old.
Right. But yeah, they're doing a Buzz Lightyear thing. They announced 3 more, like, what I'm guessing is they're like additions to their princesses. So like we have Rhea, and then there's 2 other ones. And the thing about the 2 other ones is they are not like traditional European or like American, like they're non-white characters. But I could tell by the name. I can't remember what like language it was,
Gotcha.
but I could tell by the names that they're really branching out, trying to include more princesses and stuff.
That's cool that they're trying to do that
definitely.
more. Like that was nice that Moana finally represented like Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
And, like finally jumping into cultures that we've been neglecting, because we've already had like our fair share of like European like
Sleeping
princesses.
Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White,
Even Frozen most recently.
yeah,
like you're getting Nordic, or
Yeah.
at least that's the vibe I'm getting from that. Like, and it's fine. I mean, if you make a good movie, sure, but like it's just nice to see representation happen, because it does matter.
Definitely.
But it's just so exhausting to like come out of one of these investor days and just like, I don't know. It seems like movies and TV shows used to be more of an event. Like you had the one like coming up, and I guess specifically I'm thinking about Star Wars in this instance, because Star Wars used to only exist as movies, and they would come out maybe every 3 years if there was a trilogy going on, and then you'd have to wait like another decade or so for the next like big Star Wars thing. It always felt like an event.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something that sucks the fun out of it. You just dump like the next 10 things you have in mind in like one meeting, and like 2 of those things are probably going to get canceled anyway. Like
definitely. Yeah.
Like I think they've already scrapped Rian Johnson's like trilogy that he wanted to do.
Oh God. So they scrapped Rian Johnson's trilogy, and when D&D, the writers of Game of Thrones, David and Dan, I think is their names, they canceled their trilogy, or they like just couldn't work something out. And I was like, good, but
I think that just goes to show though that Disney has like, if fans backlash, we don't want to do business with anymore. Like we don't want to do business with you anymore kind of mindset. Like,
yeah.
Like Rian Johnson, Last Jedi drops. He receives criticism from the fans. Disney's like, screw you, we're done with you. We're getting JJ back. Even Colin Trevorrow, I think, like Lost World, Jurassic Park, Lost World, like had stuff to do with that. He's out. And then of course D&D, like they had huge backlash from the Game of Thrones finale. And I doubt that it was creative differences that brought their like professional relationship to an end. They definitely saw the tweets and they were like, get out.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Disney, there's a lot of directors I admire, like Taika Waititi working for them. Patty Jenkins has killed it in the past. But like, they're such safe choices. And I don't know, like, I really respect Taika Waititi still, but like anytime he does a film with Disney, I just feel like it's getting more, like, he's getting more Disneyfied. I don't know how to describe that other than like his directorial flair is fading and this like kind of safe brand is coming up.
Definitely. That's weird that you point that out, because to me, even watching Jojo Rabbit, even the source material, for that, it's very dark. So it's obviously a dark comedy. That film felt very safe. It is a PG-13 rated movie. And you look at back what Taika's done in the past, and you're like, this could have been so much more like visceral, both in its comedy and it's like what it's showing you on screen. And I don't know, it is, I do get the sense that he is playing things more safe, and he's working on like 3 different projects for Marvel at the moment. It's
I don't like it.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, like the Thor Love and Thunder, I'm sure will be good, but like honestly, other than Jojo Rabbit, I think Ragnarok is probably one of Taika Waititi's weakest films. Other than like his first. Did you ever see Eagle versus Bird or Eagle versus Shark?
Yeah. No. So that is. I haven't watched. No, I haven't watched it. What I'm getting at is that I saw it like on Letterboxd, and I was looking at it, and I really wanted to watch it. And another one of his films that I've only seen clips from, What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows is straight up one of the best comedies ever made.
Yeah.
Like, I can't hype that up enough.
That's what I've heard.
It's so good, and like that movie is definitely not safe. Sorry, there's a little dingy in the background.
It was our editor Sophie.
She needs to like silence her phone before these things happen.
Sophie, please.
And, okay. God, we ought to fire her.
Yeah, we really should.
But no, What We Do in the Shadows is definitely a more risky venture. Like the whole way the film is presented to you, like a fake documentary.
Yeah,
that's a risk right there. The vampire like aspect, it's in New Zealand.
Yeah,
there's just so many things going on. Which I mean, the New Zealand part is because Taika Waititi is from New Zealand.
Right.
And, his writing partner, Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords, was also a local. And, like, New Zealand's film industry is, like, incredible, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ever since Lord of the Rings went through there. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about seeing that movie and seeing something like Boy, like one of his earlier projects that has a lot of grit and, like, heart to it. And it's odd, like Jojo Rabbit is kind of a touching movie, but I don't think it has nearly the same kind of heart. It definitely feels like a safer corporate movie.
Yeah.
That's like, let's have a laugh at the Nazis.
Yeah.
And they don't even go into the Nazi stuff all that
No.
much. It kind of holds its punches a little bit.
Oh, definitely. I wrote a whole essay on Jojo Rabbit, like, for fun. I didn't really have to turn this in for like academic purposes. I just wrote it because I didn't have a podcast, but
you had to have an outlet.
Right. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll talk about Jojo Rabbit more extensively, because like I have some thoughts on the film.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I mean, Taika Waititi is definitely a director I would love to like deep dive into.
Definitely.
Just, I guess the main point I gotta stick to here is like, Disney got a hold of him and they've put him to work. He's out in the movie fields, making so many movies for them now, and it's just like, at a point you got to accept that quantity does not equal quality. And I think that's the biggest problem with Disney's business model here, is that there's just so much, and there's no way even half of it is going to be good. Like, I'm not interested in most of the projects they announced. Like, I don't know, Star Wars Visions is one that grabbed my eye, because that's going to be like Japanese animators doing their take on Star Wars. That sounds like something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, they're really just like single like episodes, like vignettes, and like I'm really excited for that. That'll be different.
That sounds interesting. But like on the other hand, you have stuff like Marvel What If, which I don't know, it just sounds like a way to cash in on like getting
fans
like to get really riled up over like things that don't actually exist or matter. I don't know, like the whole concept of that show doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer, and like a lot of the premises are really weak too. Like, oh, Haley Atwell's character is the one that gets selected for the super serum instead, and she's Captain Britain.
Yeah.
Or what if Chadwick Boseman was out walking in the woods and the aliens picked him up and made him Star-Lord? Like, just not very interesting concepts.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Especially considering that, like, Marvel Comics often did these things, like, a lot better. Like, they have whole, like, comic book universes of that, like, go into super dark territory and, like, where character deaths matter. And it seems like Disney is only concerned with asking, what if person A swapped with person B?
Yeah.
Pretty interesting if you think about it.
I'm not as excited for What If. When they first announced it, like I've seen like some of the comics, the kind of what if scenarios of the comics, and I'm like, okay, this will be super dope. Like, we could go into some really weird territory here, especially because it's animated. And then you see like the trailer, and you're like, really?
It's so safe.
It's so safe. And I'm like, are you trying to make this canon in the future? Is that what you're doing? Stop it. Get some help. No, I wanted to bring up a point, though, about the Disney Plus shows, because I'm really scared / really interested. WandaVision is a show that is 6 episodes long.
Oh, okay, that sounds phenomenal.
Right. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is also a show that is 6 episodes, and so is Loki. Here's the thing. When I was reading about them, I like read up on that. Shut up, Dell. Nobody cares. No, I was reading up on the shows, and for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it said this is a story, a movie basically, that is told in 6 episodes. And I was like, so they were implying that it was only one season, like it was a mini series.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are these all just going to be miniseries? Because then, if so, why didn't you just make a 3-hour movie and put it in the theaters?
Honestly, people would go see like a 3-hour like
Marvel's established enough now. If they put out literally a 3-hour movie called WandaVision, people would go watch it.
Well,
I guess it's mainly just for their people. I understand it's incentive for people to get Disney Plus. At the same time, I think it's kind of crappy that you're toting these as series and they're just going to be mini series that are like one-offs, like almost as long as a movie.
Honestly, I kind of have to disagree. Like, I, for one, if I heard that there was a 3-hour movie about Scarlet Witch coming out, I would not go see it. Because I don't think that character has gotten, like, any kind of development in the movies that matters. Like, you can go on, like, a Marvel Instagram page, and they'll point out that moment where she's like, you took everything from me, which is a cool moment. But, like, that doesn't represent that character getting a bunch of screen time in the past. Like, she's kind of been shoehorned into every Marvel project, and that's really disappointing. I think that in this instance, a TV show on a platform that is constantly under people's scrutiny of like, should we even renew this? Like, Mandalorian's not on right now. I think that's the way you can bring that like character to like fruition and like make up for lots of lost time in terms of like character development. And also, I kind of like the idea that these shows are going to just do their thing and be done with it. Like, so many shows don't know when to end these days. Like,
definitely.
there's like several long-running television shows that should have ended like years ago. Like,
Supernatural just ended on season like 15, I think.
That show should have died like maybe season 6, it sounds like.
That's what Luke said. He said there's a good ending for season 6. So yeah.
I've always been of the opinion, like, shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, currently like The Walking Dead, all shows that should have ended like so many years ago. And like the idea of just doing like a limited like run, that's one of my favorite concepts, because a lot of my favorite TV shows in recent years have been that. Like Watchmen last year. Mm-hmm. That's just a solid 9-episode run. Damon Lindelof, he said, we're not going to do any more. And that's dope because the 9 episodes that are out are fantastic. And honestly, I feel like it would be a little bit of a stretch to like try and keep that going. Like, I don't know, compared to Mandalorian, which doesn't seem to have any plans to end anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited that the Marvel shows will end. But can I say that I'm very excited for any of them? No. I mean, like WandaVision, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I get what you're saying. I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset, though, that they're not, like, full-running series. If they are miniseries, I'm not going to complain. But they've been... To me, it seems like the marketing and what they've been talking about has made it seem like all these shows are going to be, like, long-running, and they're like 6 episodes. And, you know, that if they would have said that at the beginning, if they would have said, like, hey, by the way, this is a miniseries, like, it's not going past 6 episodes, I'd have been like, okay, cool, that's even better. But now I've just thought one thing and now it's another, and I'm like, okay, there's like 2 shows in there that I would be excited to actually watch as long-standing series if they, you know, did it right. But I mean, hey, we won't have to wait too much longer. WandaVision comes out January 15th. I'll definitely be watching it just because I watch everything that Marvel puts out because I am a consumer. I'm a horrible consumer. But
yeah, I like to be in the cultural know-how, and I know that, you know, memes would probably come out about WandaVision or,
yeah,
you know, something else. And plus, if you have Disney Plus, you know, you got to justify that, like, purchase somehow.
Exactly, yeah.
And Mandalorian only comes around
once
a year.
A year for 10 weeks. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like I'll definitely catch WandaVision, and I'll probably watch Loki and Winter Soldier 2. Wait, is it Winter Soldier and Falcon or
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Okay. Yeah. I'll watch them all probably because I want to be in the know. It's why before the pandemic I would always go to the theater like every time a superhero movie came out. Is I just want to know.
Yeah,
you know?
So, yeah. I mean, for me, it's every time I go to see one, I'm hoping like something will be different and something will wow me. Like I'm sure when people went and saw like The Dark Knight, you know, back in 2008, they were thinking the same thing. Like, okay, you know, it's another Batman movie. Let's go see if there's anything different. And then they were very pleasantly surprised. And then the movie grossed $1 billion, you know, globally. And obviously that was a huge hit. And I think everybody's been searching for that like one movie, you know, to kind of like just think outside the box and like break out and like be a good superhero movie, I guess.
I just want to like say I've always liked DC's approach better than Marvel's, and I think the worst thing to happen to DC in recent years is that they decided that they want to do like the lots of content coming out every year and it's all interconnected, blah blah blah. Like no, like back in the days of The Dark Knight, like you'd get a movie from like DC every 2 or 3 years, and it'd always be a pretty solid movie. Like The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie. Like that's one of the best movies ever made, and I mean it recently got accepted into like the Congress like library.
The Library of Congress, their National Film Registry. Don't quote me on this year, but I think it's every 5 years they all vote on the members. They all vote on which films to bring in that are historically or aesthetically significant in film history, in cinema history, or like for history of the world. The Dark Knight is obviously very historic, and they just voted in yesterday The Dark Knight into the National Film Registry. So that is huge. That is a superhero movie being preserved, basically. They choose these films for preservation is what it is, which is just awesome, I think. So and really interesting. That's of course 2020. That would happen in 2020, you know.
Yeah, but I mean the year of historics. I mean, if they were to pick movies from this year, we'd end up with stuff like Trolls World Tour. You know? Which is gonna be a historically significant movie, though. I mean,
I'm not gonna be surprised if they choose Tenet, because you know that that one was the first movie to be put out in a pandemic, and then we can argue about the numbers, but
I don't know about Tenet, because do you think enough people actually went and saw Tenet to like?
I mean, they're gonna see it when it comes out on DVD at least. I feel like it's about to have a resurgence of like popularity on the internet because people are gonna go buy it on DVD because it's coming out on DVD in like a few days, I think, in like December, something like that.
I really love what HBO Max is doing with releasing their Warner like Studios movies on the streaming service at the same time. Like, we're gonna get Wonder Woman 1984 here in like a week, I think. And that's just awesome that like, unlike other studios right now, and unlike Christopher Nolan, who works pretty heavily with Warner Brothers, they're willing to like forego that like kind of profit they could make in a theater, and realize that streaming services could make you even more money.
Yeah.
And like, just like, leaving this hubris behind that we have to have our films in the like 4K like HD experience like on the big screen, and like we can give it to people at home finally, and in a safe capacity.
Yeah.
Too. Like, I think that's the coolest move. I think that's the coolest part of this move to streaming that Warner is doing, is that, people get to watch movies again and have the movie-going experience again. It's just evolved a little bit, and it's safe for the times that we're living in,
Do you think they'll go back to... because I would be way more up in arms about this move if we weren't in a pandemic. Like, I can totally understand it right now. But do you think like once, in a year or so, whenever like if all this, ends and everybody's pretty much back to normal and everything opens up again, do you think that they'll stop putting their films on HBO Max and like leave it for the theaters?
Absolutely not. It's too good of an idea to keep it on streaming services. I guarantee you this is going to be, well, I can't guarantee anything, but I have a strong feeling this is going to be successful. This is going to be the first step in other movie studios like doing that. Like, Netflix has been doing this for years now, where they're releasing movies in limited like releases in theaters, and then they're releasing it on the streaming service, and it's working. Like, Netflix movies win Oscars now, or they get nominated for a bunch of Oscars. Like, they're cinema, they're real film. And I think people are going to accept that just because it's not on the big screen doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it as like an authentic, real film. And, I love going to movie theaters. Like,
I do too.
That's an experience I really love, but I think it's time to stop gatekeeping how film should be like enjoyed, Like, if someone's best option is to stay at home and watch something on their couch, why not,
Yeah.
I think it's utterly pointless to force people to go out and be in a public space and watch a movie with like 200 other people sometimes, like people who could be precocious and loud and ruin their experience, when if the best experience is just your little home theater system, or even your little dinky TV, or even your phone. Oh, sorry, David Lynch. People watch movies on their phone. I'm just like, I'm tired of pretending like we should invalidate people's movie-going experience, Like, if you want to go to a theater, no one's stopping you.
Yeah.
I guess on the flip side, though, you got to examine how it could hurt theaters.
I was gonna ask
people who own businesses like that.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I worked at a drive-in movie theater, and how movie theaters work, how they get their profit, it's mainly from concessions. It is mainly from concessions. And Disney, I'm going to call out Disney like we haven't already been calling out Disney. This is a horrible thing they do. It's a horrible thing, and I've experienced it firsthand. And the movie theater that I worked at the drive-in movie theater in Marshall, Arkansas. They hated showing Disney movies because Disney takes 75% box office revenue.
That's not
75%, man. And they will only allow you to show certain. If you do it like drive-ins, they do a double feature. Okay, if you do a double feature, they're very picky on what that second feature is paired up with their Disney film. It's weird. They got a lot of rules. So, and it's the same for, it's not just the drive-in theater. I'm just saying that's from my experience, and my boss told me that's pretty much everywhere. You know, if it's Cinemark, AMC, you know, whatever. Disney takes 75%. You know, the big five studios like Warner Brothers and Fox, they take 60%, up to 60%, which, you know, is why theaters like already struggle, and it's why people worry so much about theater. You know, the business of theaters going out due to the streaming services. Do I think this is the catalyst for it? Probably not. I don't think theaters will ever go out, but there's gonna have to be like some moviegoers that really step up and are able to give theaters, you know, the money that they need. And I can see maybe prices going up, you know, if they can't get the audience that they were before, because it takes so much to keep a theater running. You know, they got all the food. You have to pay people to clean all the theaters. You know, I bet a theater's electricity bill is absolutely astronomical.
Yeah.
You got, you know, 12 projectors running, you know, almost simultaneously, you know, every day. It's crazy. That's why people are worried about movie theaters, not because, you know, it's just so easy to make money it's not easy for a movie theater to make money. That's why they pop popcorn so much and get the smell. It's like they put things in front of you to make you want to buy them. The smells, it makes you want to purchase food, because they make a lot of money off of the concession food, and that's why it's so high, because they don't make jack from ticket sales, because the studios take all that crap, especially Disney.
Well, I actually saw something about, like, this move to streaming services, how it could help with that. Like, it might, you know, make companies take less out of, like, box office, because they're putting all their ducks in, like, the streaming service, getting them bank. Like,
that's true.
You know, they can just get a huge, like, fee from, like, whatever streaming service wants to air their movie, and then, you know, see profits from people, like, jumping onto that streaming service, and then in the theater, you know, maybe these, like, the theater owners can see more of that money from ticket sales.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
That was something that was proposed. We have no reason to believe that's how it's going to actually work, though.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit optimistic to me, because I think a company would rather double dip than dip to theater owner.
I don't think Disney is going to lower their ticket percentage. And all the time that I worked at theater, Disney was the hardest to just always deal with, because they ask for almost unreasonable things. They were like, you know, 75% of the box office sales for the first 2 weeks that you show the movie. Then the third week that you show the movie, will do 60%. And it's like, they're saying, you know, you have to show it for 3 weeks, 3 weekends. That's ridiculous. And that's like how they negotiate. So with them lowering their ticket percentages, I highly doubt it.
No.
Other studios, though, like Warner Brothers, they might.
I could see Warner Brothers doing it.
I could see them doing that, yeah. I hope they do that. That would be awesome. Because obviously, you know, everybody's got a streaming service now. Obviously, streaming services make money. They make bank. So, you know, I don't see why it wouldn't make it a little bit easier. You know, they've been struggling for a hot minute, really.
I'm just going to be real with you, though. Like, my plan with most of these movies that are coming out, if I don't really feel like spending $15 on a ticket, of course I'm going to, like, if I'm curious, I'm going to just watch it at home. Like Matrix 4, you know, if that gets bad reviews, I wouldn't spend $15 to go to the theater to see it with a bunch of people, but I'd watch it at home on HBO MAX and just turn it off if I don't want to see it anymore. Like, I think the appeal of being able to, well, I guess it's just our short attention span in this generation, but, like, if we don't like something, we can just turn it off and switch to something that we'd like more. So, you know, if Wonder Woman 1984 is not really your vibe, you can just turn it off and go watch, like, HBO's Game of Thrones or some original content, like, right there.
Or Barry.
Watch Barry. And
Barry.
Euphoria.
Yep.
Great shows. But, like, I don't see myself in the pandemic going out to a movie theater at any point, so I definitely am gonna enjoy that through HBO Max. And then after, I don't I don't know. Like, I don't know if I need to see Dune on the big screen if it's on my screen here with speakers, or or if it's at your house with old TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me specifically, going to the movies has been something that I've like I yearn to go to the movie theater. Honestly, I love it. I cannot tell you. I think I saw every major release and even most minor releases of 2017, my freshman year of college, because me and Remington went almost every other day to the movies. I went so much, and I loved it. And I went and saw Tenet in theaters twice. And the reason I saw it in theaters twice was because we kind of took a risk going the first time. But we watched Cinemark's thing. They're planned for safety, and we thought it was sufficient. So we went. There was nobody in our theater. It was just me, Donna, Luke, and Florian.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, sure. We watched it. Then we wanted to go see it a second time. The second time we saw it in XD, and there were 10 other people in our theater. And that's the XD theater. So that it's a bigger room, and they're much farther away. So when it comes to these, Warner Brothers releases, I'm probably going to see a few of them in theaters just because I know, at least here, because I know the movie theater experience in Conway, Arkansas is super safe because nobody's going here. At least when I went and saw it. We saw Tenet on opening weekend. It was opening weekend and nobody was there. And so I would feel comfortable watching a couple of these that I like. I really want to see Dune in theaters.
I think Dune is one that I will end up going.
Yeah, and if the Matrix 4 is as crazy as Speed Racer or the first Matrix, I'd kind of like to see it in the theater, but I'm not holding my breath, really.
I think the big thing that allures me about this streaming service move is that a lot of the times I want to go see a movie and I can't wrangle anyone to go see it with me because it's like something that I am the only person that wants to go see. And so, it'd be nice to just do it at home.
Right.
Like, I think the last movie I saw alone was Pacific Rim, the sequel. What? I don't even remember what
Uprising.
It's called. Uprising. And it's a terrible movie, by the way.
Yeah.
But, like, I just felt so silly. Like, I'm by myself at this really bad robot movie, and like I could leave, but now I'll just feel even sillier because I don't have anyone here to make fun of it with, and I also already spent the $15 because I was so determined to go see it or something. I don't even know why. It had bad reviews. I don't know why I thought it would be different. I just wanted a big fun robot movie like Pacific Rim.
Right. Oh, you can imagine my disappointment when I watched Godzilla King of Monsters, and I just wanted a monster movie. I want to see monsters fight, and then I saw Vera Farmiga scream for like 45 minutes. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Are we talking about the original one, or was this the one that came out last year?
The one that came out last year or the year before.
That one. I'll tell you what. I did convince someone to go see it, my friend Devin, and I was actually disappointed. Like, I think with the first Godzilla, they definitely didn't have enough of him. Mm-hmm. And then they took, like, all kinds of wrong notes in this one because there's just so much, like, going on in King of Monsters. Like, I don't know. There was just, like, way too many fight scenes, and, like, they weren't all that entertaining. Like, they weren't very well.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine my disappointment because they were awful fights. I hated the fights in that movie. It was just a bad movie as well.
It made me miss, like, the first movie's, like, really weighty, like, last 10 minutes, like, that felt, like, impactful. And I know that the monsters in that movie were really generic looking and forgettable, but when Godzilla is, like, laser breathing down one of their throats, it, like, feels intense.
Right.
And in this one, it was just so weighty.
Yeah, honestly, I like the first... Interesting story. We're off on a rabbit hole now, but the interesting story about the first Godzilla movie... the class that graduated before me in high school, I was going to I think I got invited by somebody in that class, somebody I was friends with, but I ended up not being able to go to that specific like senior trip, because you could like take a person on one of them. Well, they went to Branson and they were going to do some kind of go-kart thing, but it started raining, so the go-kart place shut down, and they were like, it was storming. But then, like, the facilitators of the trip, the teachers or whatever, were like, wait, what if we just go see Godzilla in IMAX? And they were all like, okay. So they went to the IMAX and they saw it, and, like, I swear, like, every one of these people that came back, they were like, dude, Godzilla was good. And we're talking about, like, some of these are yeehaws, you know? Like, growing up in Marshall, Arkansas, they're like, that was a good-ass movie. And I'm
Godzilla.
Godzilla. But, like, I could just imagine, like, you know, it's pouring rain outside and you go into, like, the IMAX theater and sit down and watch Godzilla on the big screen. That's got to be the most terrifying experience. And I wish I was there, basically.
Yeah, that sounds like you missed out, dude. I hate to say it, but that does sound like a lovely little, like, theater experience. I don't think that I want the theater experience to ever be done away with. I guess I'm just saying, like, I wish we weren't so picky about it. I guess what really got me entrenched in this, like, oh, screw it, you know, we don't need to go to the movies, is when Christopher Nolan opened up his big fat mouth and, like, weighed in.
He's way better if he stays silent. And, like, the man's fighting demons or something, man. So,
I didn't read his full statement. I just kind of saw, like, headlines. Do you know more specifically about what he said?
No, I didn't. I think I opened up to read his statement, and then the Washington Post hit me with that, you must subscribe, and I was like, okay,
I hate that.
But I mean, what I did see was I saw several sources that quoted different parts of it, and you know, he basically, for those who don't know, Christopher Nolan, he opened his mouth on Twitter, or not even on Twitter, he did it like he wrote a statement about Warner Brothers and them releasing their slate, talking about, like, he thought he was working for one of the greatest film companies in the world. Then he woke up and he found out he was working for, quote unquote, the worst streaming service ever. Which is weird because I think HBO Max is actually one of the better streaming services.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it.
And, you know, he should really appreciate that because they have like cinema, like, history, classics on HBO Max. You know, you got the Battleship Potemkin, you got the Three Colors trilogy, you got like a bunch of
their TCM collection is like crazy, dude.
Exactly. So just a bunch of Criterion stuff, and he just goes out, he says it's the worst streaming service, and he's so dead set on just absolutely, you know, destroying anybody else's opinion on streaming services, or trying to destroy the facade that is the streaming service, and how it's gonna end the traditional experience. And I can tell he really likes theaters and he really likes shooting on film, so he's really like a kind of like a traditionalist. But man, he has got to either just shut up or just move with the times.
Yeah.
His movies are great, but you can even see with Tenet, you know, he tried putting that out in the theater in a pandemic. It did not make nearly enough as they planned or as it should have to get Warner Brothers their money back. Because this is a huge movie, by the way, like almost $300 million. I think the exact budget was like $205 million. Wow. Which that's weird. I think that changed because when the movie first came out, they were touting it as a $300 million movie.
That's crazy.
And it only made 350. If it's really a $205 million movie, it only grossed 350 million globally.
That's insane that it grossed that much. Even I feel like
I think
that must have been China, like a big.
Oh yeah, it did well in the foreign. It did well in the foreign markets, but not very well here in the U.S. is what I read.
I think that's such an act of hubris on his part that he is examining the landscape. You know, and there's a literal, like, pandemic forcing people to stay home. And he's like, if I release Tenet now, people are definitely going to come see it. Like, it's a really important movie. Like, the reviews seem to indicate that it's not even one of his best movies or anything. Like, it's not even an especially good Christopher Nolan movie. So, like, I mean, I don't know. You guys actually saw it, so I'm not going to dunk on it without seeing it. I'm just kind of pissed off at Nolan. And the thing is, like, I just read more of a statement while we were talking, and he's saying that the reason he did it is because 2019 was the biggest year for movies ever.
I mean,
there was not the coronavirus happening.
Yeah.
Well, it was because it's COVID-19. It was first reported in December, but
right.
It wasn't a widespread pandemic yet, and
Yeah.
people, they had that option, and also that's just how things have always been done.
Yeah.
People release movies in theaters, and then they come to DVD and now streaming services, but that doesn't have to be the way it is. You could have movies on streaming services and at the theater. And, like, if you give people that choice, like, it's their freaking right to choose how they want to experience movies,
Right, yeah.
We don't have to preserve any kind of tradition. I hate that idea, Like, I'd much rather see the landscape evolve.
Sometimes.
What?
I said they can get you in trouble sometimes preserving tradition.
Oh, precisely. I think some of the most backwards things in the world come out of, like,
tradition,
preserving tradition, And I'm not saying that it's problematic to say that people should go to movie theaters, but I'm saying it's kind of stupid, you know? Like, why?
Yeah, why should you? Yeah, I get that. I mean, for me, like, as long as the movie theaters are open, I am always gonna go see a movie in the theaters just because I prefer the experience rather than sitting at home. I'm an introvert, except when it comes to the movies. Like, the movies for me is like sort of an introverted experience. Like, you go and you sit in a dark room and you watch a movie for 2.5 hours. And even though other people are there, you don't have to talk to them. You don't even have to look at them. You can sit there and mind your own business and eat popcorn and watch a movie at, 10 o'clock at night. And then you get out of the theater and the drive home, you talk with whoever you saw the movie with about the movie. Or maybe if you went alone, you get in your car, and, like, I've done this before. I just look up the soundtrack and listen to the soundtrack on the way home if it was a good soundtrack or something. It's just an experience that I really like, and I think if the movie theaters ever died, I would definitely be hurt. I would not like that at all. But is that soon? No. We still have enough capitalist money to spare for theaters to stay open. It's not the death, but I'm excited actually to see it's like the streaming wars at this point is a chess game. We're bringing it around full circle.
All chess, baby.
It's a chess game. Every time one of them makes a move, the other one has to make a move to try to outsmart them or to try to, get ahead in the game. And that's like what we're happening. That's what's happening right now. HBO MAX. They just moved there. They got their rook into play, man.
Yeah.
And then Disney Plus, they're like, we're gonna sideswipe them real quick with a bishop.
Oh, Casey just learned about chess. He's so excited about it, guys.
And they're gonna release. We got 35 projects coming within 3 years, and it's insane. And I'm really interested to see, what Netflix or Hulu's going to do next. Like, I'm sure they've got something coming up before the year is over, at the beginning of the year. It's just getting, I did a speech on the streaming services, especially when Disney Plus had just came out in college. And I thought it was crazy when I was doing it then. I was saying, like, all these streaming services popping up. Like, you got a streaming service for nearly every freaking channel on satellite TV right now. I said, I was arguing that it's going to force people back into piracy, pirating more movies. Mm-hmm. But they totally blew my idea of that out of the water. I don't think that's going to happen at all anymore because, it's still, you got HBO Max slid in and now it's a giant. Hulu had to work its way up. And, even so did, like, some of these other streamings that are kind of, like, bigger. They started really small and they worked their way up. HBO Max has just, slid in the bulldozer. It's insane. Every day they do something that topples the next thing that I think couldn't be even more crazier. But we're here. It's 2020, so I guess I should stop thinking that things can't ever get crazier.
Yeah, I think with the pirating point, I think people are just too lazy. Like, pirating takes a lot of effort, and then often you get a pretty crappy quality.
It's definitely
for the
harder
final product. Like
these days.
I think people would just prefer to spend their money to get it. You know, like any way they can. I know this seems a little bit of a bad time to add this statement because we're probably approaching the end of the episode, but I want to say one of my favorite things about this move away from theaters is the accessibility to new movies for disabled individuals. Like my brother is severely autistic, and like back in the day, he and my dad went to go see Star Wars, and he was kind of having a sensory moment in the theater, and they kicked him out. They got a cop in there, and they were like, "You guys got to leave." It's very dramatic, by the way, that whole situation. Like, you know, if someone wanted them to like be a little bit quieter, they should have talked to them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But finally, you know, people like my brother, if theaters aren't going to have like sensory friendly showings or anything, they can have that experience at home at the very least, or people in wheelchairs, you know, have like more accessibility. Like a theater will usually have like one slot for like people with wheelchairs, and that's like
it's like 2 handicap things in the front. Yeah.
You know, the deaf can get the subtitled experience at home because not a lot of theaters show closed captioning either.
I don't, I've never been to a theater that did like a closed captioning showing that I know of.
I mean, other than like for foreign films, I don't think it happens really. I mean, it does obviously happen somewhere, but not to theaters I've ever been to. And
not in Arkansas. We don't
I just think that it's such a cool move that like people can have that experience at home. And I wasn't really even thinking about it from an accessibility standpoint until just a couple minutes ago. But like, dang, we can like, I don't have to worry if Miles is being like too loud and we're trying to go see like the new Toy Story or something, you know, that can happen just at home. Like if he's not interested, you know, he can also walk away. Cause I think that was an experience I had in 2019. I brought my brother to Toy Story 4, and it was kind of a gamble because, you know, you can never really tell if something's going to hold his interest anyway to watch a movie. And he lost interest like halfway through. He wanted his iPad and stuff, and he was making some noise at like inappropriate times. And I was just like, oh man, I know that you'd probably like this movie if I could show it to you in more like doses. And I mean, he did end up paying attention to like the finale, and I don't regret taking him to the movies. It's just like that experience would be so much easier on everyone if like we were able to do that at home, like in a more friendly environment. And I think just like so many people are going to feel that same way because here's something that's not much of a shocker. People on the autism spectrum actually love like animated movies, and like many of them would go to theaters if they didn't have like these quirks and tics that like prevent them from being able to like be in an audience with other people, because a lot of people like, you know, need to shout or like make noises while they're watching. And I think that's just so cool that we can have that experience at home. I don't think that Disney is the primary company that's going to be a shining beacon of light and like really bring this home, but I think it's cool that Warner at least has started this. And I mean, I don't know. I hope from that aspect that this gains traction. And I mean, in a perfect world, theaters are going to make a ton of money off of box office, and corporations won't steal as much, and it's going to be a perfect thing. But I don't know. It might go really poorly for theaters.
It might. I'm worried that it will, just because I want one theater.
I want one theater too. just the one.
Just one.
I miss Cinemark. I miss it all, dude. I don't know.
I do too.
We can have these nuanced talks, but I want to be at a theater really bad, dude.
Yeah, I especially like right now, like I keep wondering why I've been able to save so much money this year. It's because I haven't been going to the theater, honestly. Like, I realized, like, a bunch of my money goes to the theater. Like, every weekend I'll go see a movie or 2 or 3. So, yeah. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for this one.
Yeah, do you want to, like, do a cute little outro where we talk about the last movies we saw before the pandemic kicked off?
Oh, yeah. Because I have a horrible one.
What was yours?
It was the new Grudge.
Really? That was back in January even.
Yeah, well, oh, you're right. That was January. That couldn't have been the last one I saw then. because we went into quarantine in March, right?
Yeah. So, like, did you catch
Oh.
The Boy 2, perchance?
No, I did not. Did you?
Unfortunately, I did. My list of movies this year was not stellar. It was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, no.
The Boy 2, which was awful, and Onward, which was surprisingly the best movie I saw in a theater this year, but it's not that great.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, but it's not.
The movies I saw this year were that were 2020 releases: The Grudge and The Gentleman, the one with Matthew McConaughey and
Oh, is that Guy Ritchie movie?
Yeah, it's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Those are
you get what you get what you freaking ask for.
You get what you pay for.
You get
bro.
No, like it was entertaining enough, but I was like, and that was the last one I saw, and I was like, well,
here's to 2021 having some better movies for us.
Here is to 2021 having some better stuff,
and in general, just be better. 2021,
please.
Be better.
Oh well, everybody. Let us know if you agree with Nolan. No, I'm kidding.
Let us know if you, using the streaming service right now to listen to this podcast, think that they're stupid and dumb. This has been the Mind Over Movies
and streaming services.
Bye.
Bye.